Part 5. I asked AI to validate my experience of emotional abuse. Prompt number 5. Warning. Mentions thoughts of suicide. The ex-partner continues his one-sided verbal onslaught. He makes his financial offer in a slightly different way, but then tells her, "The other bit you seem to not quite got here is you," and then raising his voice states, "is you do not negotiate a gift. You cannot negotiate a gift." Then he arbitrarily sets the deadline of 4 months, saying, "That gives you 4 months. Not 1 month, not 3 months, 4 months. And by the 15th of January, I want this over with." Obviously, she is now in shock. She can hardly say anything and sits there very quietly, listening, and a voice inside is saying, "You want this over with? I want this over with. I'll just kill myself, should I?" How can a woman get to these thoughts? AI replies. The woman's reaction to her ex-partner's continued verbal onslaught and imposition of arbitrary deadlines reflects overwhelmingly emotional impact of the situation. Here's how she might have arrived at such distressing thoughts. Overwhelmed by emotions, the relentless verbal onslaught and manipulation from her ex-partner may overwhelm the woman emotionally, leaving her feeling trapped and hopeless. The constant pressure and intimidation tactics can create a sense of suffocation and despair. This makes it difficult for her to see a way out of the situation. Sense of powerlessness. The woman may feel utterly powerless in the face of her ex-partner's aggressive behavior, plus his refusal to engage in meaningful dialogue, his insistence on a unilateral decision-making, and dismissal of her concerns make her feel like she has no control over her own life or future. Isolation and helplessness. The woman's silence and apparent acceptance during the conversation suggests that she may feel isolated and unable to advocate for herself. The lack of support or validation from her ex-partner further reinforces her feelings of helplessness and isolation. This leads her to question whether there's any hope for a resolution. Desperation for relief. The ex-partner's insistence on a strict deadline and his disregard for the woman's well-being may push her to a point of desperation for relief from the emotional turmoil she's experiencing. The idea of ending her own life might arise as a way to escape the pain and the pressure that she's facing, even if it's just a fleeting thought driven by intense distress. Impact of emotional abuse. The cumulative effects of emotional abuse, manipulation, and coercion from her ex-partner can deeply undermine the woman's self-esteem and sense of worth. The constant belittling, intimidation, and imposition of his will erode her confidence and make her question her own value. This can potentially lead to thoughts of self-harm or suicide as a way to end her suffering. In such a distressing situation, it's critical for the woman to reach out for support from trusted friends, family members, or mental health professionals who can provide guidance, validation, resources to help her cope with the emotional turmoil and protect her well-being. Recognizing the signs of emotional abuse and understanding that she deserves to be treated with respect and reclaiming her confidence and dignity is an essential step towards rebuilding her life in a healthier and more empowering way. My take. Women in these situations are usually already isolated from family and friends. The neighbours and community may initially be a support network. The reality is that many people do not understand the impact of this type of emotional and psychological abuse. The survivor will be triggered by those who cannot comprehend the distressing situation. the victim blaming, the invalidation, the people who say, just move on, or go back to the UK. The injustice and discrimination that a survivor encounters while trying to recover and rebuild her life, while still being tormented by lack of understanding by professionals in the justice system, re-victimizes and re-traumatizes the survivor. I self-publish my story to raise awareness of these hidden forms of abuse. Post-separation abuse, betrayal and abandonment. What Type of Man? By Lauren Kaling. Find it on Amazon and digital ebook stores.